Breaking news today as the Seminoles land a massive piece of their 2024 recruiting class. They pick up a stellar edge rusher who is going to be super explosive in the garnet and gold, and they continue to stack talent in that defensive end room. This is huge for Mike Norvell, Adam Fuller, Coach Papuchis, Coach Odell, and all Florida State Seminoles fans. Seminoles are on fire here lately, and they added an explosive, as we said, piece in DD Holmes, a Washington, D.C. native, to their defensive recruiting today. Holmes is a 6'6", 240-pound edge rusher. He's a four-star everywhere. And in the class of 2024, he is one of the more elite prospects that you will find. Clearly, at 6'6", Holmes has a great frame for Coach Storms to build around. He is a high upside prospect that they will continue to look toward the trend of great defensive ends at Florida State. Over the last few years, you've seen guys like Jermaine and Kier. You now have Jared and Pat. And I'm excited to see what Coach JP does with so much potential. Holmes is a top 150 kid on three. He's the 135th best player nationwide, and he's the 11th best edge in their rankings. He's a great prospect, and he's exactly what you want in an edge. And if you're celebrating this commitment with me, hit that subscribe button. There is more good news coming soon, and you do not want to miss it. The first thing that absolutely jumps off the page at you and just blows up is his size. His burst for his size is probably what's next, but his size is unreal. At 6'6", 240, he moves incredibly well. He's got great burst. As you're watching these highlights here, he moves incredibly quick, leaves offensive linemen standing in their stance many times. He does a really, really good job getting off the line. Obviously, want to see him bulk up, but his potential is sky high. He's got a great frame that I think Florida State can add a good amount of weight to really get him bulked up and in a phenomenal playing shape under Coach Storms and that weight training, that strength program that Florida State has. He uses his hands very, very well. And I think once he gets in the program, you could really see him develop a few moves under Coach JP that make him pretty unstoppable. He's super long, as you'd imagine. A kid is 6'6". He's got a great wingspan, but he also has a really good frame, like we mentioned, that can hold more weight. He's strong now, but I can only imagine where he will be in a couple of years. The dude could be an absolute athletic freak with his size and quickness, and I am jacked for him to get to Tallahassee. I want to go into his recruitment a little bit more, but just before we do that, I want to give some love to our friends over at Gramco. You guys know about Gramco. We've talked to you about them in the past. They are our Delta 8 partner, and whether you're looking for vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, you're looking for a water-soluble solution that you can mix in your recipes or your drinks, however you would like to enjoy Delta 8, Gramco has you covered. They've partnered with us for tailgates and events and more. Make sure that you're shopping at thegramco.com using code TJ25 for 25% off your order. If you haven't ordered in just a little bit, make sure that you go put an order in right now. They have quick, discreet shipping that you will not be disappointed with. Thegramco.com, TJ25 at checkout. Good job by FSU closing here. FSU went up against the local school in Maryland. They also went up against South Carolina. And it feels good to know that JP went out of state and got a blue chip defensive end. Again, good job closing. FSU got Holmes' last official visit in the summer, and it is showing that patience sometimes does pay off for Mike Norvell and his staff. There were questions around whether that strategy was effective or not, whether they should have waited till the end of the month to bring their big visitors on campus. And as you can see, a lot of guys from that visiting weekend look like they've either committed to the Noles or are still trending toward the Noles. In all honesty, I've had some concerns around defensive recruiting with this staff, especially with the line and the linebacker units. I think most of our high-level targets on defense are in the secondary, and obviously we've seen some success there, but I think that we're going to see even more fairly soon. But I think it's definitely a plus to see Coach Pap and Odell go out and get a highly sought after 4-star prospect. It also shows an incredible ability by this staff to pivot. Florida State just lost out on a 4-star defensive end prospect in Dylan Stevenson. He committed to Stanford, and though I don't think that recruitment is completely closed off by any means, you still lost that prospect. Now, you lost him because of academic reasons. When a kid wants to go to Stanford for academic reasons, it's kind of hard to beat that out if that's his number one priority. But I do believe that the staff did a good job of turning things around, pivoting, and making Holmes realize that he was a massive priority to this staff. I think Holmes overall is a better prospect. Most of the recruiting sites have him rated as a little bit better of a prospect, and I think he'll be really, really great in this FSU defense. I don't think Stevenson was any kind of a can't miss prospect by any means, and I think Holmes is a kind of guy that, with his size, with his athleticism, you could be talking about on like day 2 of the NFL draft in a few years. I think Holmes, again, a little bit better prospect, but this is just the beginning of what the Florida State Seminoles need to do with their front seven in recruiting. They've got time to get things done. And fortunately for them, they've loaded up on the offensive side of the ball, and they've done a really good job in the secondary this cycle, and they will continue to do a good job in the secondary during this cycle. And they have time. They have time to continue to make progression on the front seven in recruiting. Now, they've got several months, and you're going to get into the thick of the season now. You're in a dead period, and so recruiting is a little slow right now. But I do think that you've got a chance through the season to really beef up, no pun intended, your front seven. And that's both from an interior and exterior portion of your defensive line. Florida State's done a really good job in the portal on the defensive line. I don't know that you're going to be able to count on and rely on hitting on the next Jermaine Johnson and the next Jared Verse year after year after year. Same thing, Darrell Jackson, Braden Fisk. Great to get those guys, but you've got to develop some of them from that high school level. I think this could be just the start of that. Florida State lost out on a very talented 4-star prospect last year in Keldrick Falk. I think they need to do a good job of holding on to DD Holmes. They need to continue to increase the board at defensive line and linebacker, and they need to continue to bring more and more guys in. Now, again, fortunately, they're pretty solidified on the offensive side of the ball. I really like what they've done throughout the secondary, and I think that a lot of that is locked up too. Not that they can't add anyone on either of those positions, offense or secondary, but I really think they can take the time to focus now on defensive line, on edge, and on linebacker to really solidify this as a very joint and together class. They've done a great job at defensive end, and developing over the years at Florida State's defensive end position has been phenomenal. And it goes all the way back into the 90s, even into the 80s, where Florida State has made a living having elite edge prospects. And that is something that I think Florida State will always do. A guy like DD Holmes, whose athleticism and just pure freak ability and size is something that Seminole fans are going to enjoy for a long, long time. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We appreciate you guys for tuning in on this. We appreciate you guys for all of the support. DD Holmes, now a Florida State Seminole, committed. Got to get to signing day. I understand. You guys always let me know that in the comments, that it doesn't mean anything until they sign. I get it. But DD Holmes, now a Seminole, committed to the Noles. We'll try and hold on to him again until signing day, and hopefully enjoy years of his play to come in Garnet and Gold. Want to know the very latest on FSU recruiting, how defensive recruiting is going, what the absolute most recent up-to-date info is? You can click right here to find out more.